Hey, what's up, YouTube? This video is for anyone who may be having trouble. They may be having a more difficult time on their body transformation than maybe they feel like they should be having. If you're new to the channel, my name is Troy. I'm a former fat guy sharing my story with the hope that it might help someone else. If it helps someone, it was worth it. What I ask you is if you support me in that, you take a second to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it means the world to me. So, why do you struggle? Well, it's because of what's called resistance. You're doing something, right? You're attempting to do something that is out of your ordinary patterns. So when you do that, you encounter a little bit of resistance or a little friction. And the idea is, how can we make this easier? Because body transformation is pretty simple. I can remember when I was just getting started, really, one of the things that was difficult for me to wrap my head around was eating less. Right? Forget about, bodybuilder diet, getting into macros and weighing things. Let's just talk about making some real simple changes, like how can we eat a little bit less? And so that's very simple, but it's not easy to do that because as soon as you go outside of your standard pattern and you actually start eating a little bit less, you feel that, and that feels hard. And if you have felt that, if you're watching this video, then you're way ahead of most other people, all right? So I want you to embrace that, and I know you can do it, right? If you've come this far, and if you're looking into it this much, and if you've tried and failed, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. But in order to get it dialed in, I'd like to talk about some areas where maybe you're making it harder on yourself than it needs to be. So most people don't fail because they're stupid. Most people give up, right? Because they make it harder on themselves than it needs to be. So keep this in mind. Number one, stop caring about what other people think so much, because that is a weight that makes this journey harder. So you're going to encounter resistance from your tribe, the people who are around you, when you start deviating from some of those patterns that maybe are not so supportive of you, right? Because you're not stupid. You can identify the areas where, you could make some improvements, and it's just not easy to do that. But what will happen oftentimes is that, maybe if we even share too much about what we're doing, you could maybe even think about keeping some of this stuff a secret. Keep it between you and me. But when you tell other people and you bring other people in, and other people, they have these opinions, and sometimes other people's opinions can make this journey a little bit harder than it needs to be. So the invitation would be to consider a way to protect yourself against that, caring so much what other people think. Because when you start to walk this path, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments if you've ever had anyone do this to you on your journey, but they'll get you, and you have to find a way to protect yourself from that. Next, changing directions. So if you've heard of people who work out in the gym with weights, something that they'll do is they'll say, oh, you have to confuse the muscle, so change it up, yada, yada. And there are reasons why changing it up is good, right? Because it can keep you mentally engaged, and so you're not getting bored. And the thing you have to be careful of, and maybe you know this person or maybe you are this person, but when you're fad guy and you try a new thing every 2 weeks, considering the fact that a body transformation journey is one that takes place over the course of many months, let's say. Imagine if you were like me and I went from 333 pounds down to, Right now I'm probably 230 something pounds. So to lose 100 pounds of body fat, you want to do that over the course of a period of time. And so I think that people sometimes jump around from thing to thing. And the good news about this, guys, is that there are so many paths to the top. There's so many ways to be successful in terms of like how to do it, right? I talk to people all the time and everyone does it a little bit differently, yet they're all killing it. So that's great news. So many different paths. But when you're always changing paths, you're not making progress up the mountain. You're just kind of moving around the mountain. You're not getting up. So pick something, right? Do some experiments, see what works for you, and then stick with something for a long enough period of time. Because when you're bouncing around, it's just kind of like procrastination, guys. Let's call it what it is, right? It's good to try different things, but hey, we got to make progress in a direction and then and recorrect if need be. So something to consider. Next, consuming as opposed to creating, watching as opposed to doing. It's really good to do your research. I used to love going on YouTube and watching CrossFit videos because I found it really inspirational for myself just to watch the CrossFitters do their thing, and then I would be like, yeah, I would get pumped and it would make me want to go exercise. But, you have to be careful of the trap of, I don't go exercise. I sit and I watch the CrossFitters and I'm like, yeah, and I feel great about, but I didn't actually exercise. And it's sort of like it can play a trick on your mind when you do so much research or you watch so many videos about the thing as opposed to actually doing the thing. You feel like you're doing it. You feel great. You get that sort of like, yeah, good feeling that you get after you do a hard exercise or something, but you didn't do the exercise. So it's just something to consider. I would say that 80% input, 20% output, right? In terms of taking in information and then actually doing the thing. Consider that formula flipped, right? Do stuff 80% of the time and then take in new information, consider new ideas, try to keep an open mind and learn and be a student of the thing that you're trying to do the other 20% of the time. Next, going it alone. Guys, I never would have lost the weight had I not met some incredible people, coaches, mentors, human beings, people that took me under their wing and told me that it was possible, showed me how they did it, and then kind of like helped me out along the way and sort of and made themselves available to me so that I could ask them questions. Now, it helps to have a guide. Imagine, so like for me, I'm a hiker, and so a hiker walks up to the top of a hill. That's what I love to do, and I like to do that in big mountains. And sometimes if I haven't been there before, I'm walking through the woods up to the top of this giant mountain, and I don't want to get lost. And so what I find myself doing, when I'm alone, is I'm stopping and I'm looking around and I don't know, taking mental snapshots. Okay, where am I? I don't want to get lost. And that's exhausting. And all of that stopping, it kills your momentum. So when you're on your fitness journey, what can happen is you don't want to have all of this exhausting momentum killing. Oh, I wonder, can I eat this or that? Oh, I have to go out to the restaurant tonight. Oh, and then it ruins your whole thing, right? So it helps to have a guide so that you don't exhaust yourself. And what I find is that places I've been before, when I don't need to invest so much of my mental energy in paying attention to where I am, when I can just go, it makes it so much easier. And when you have a guide, it makes it so that you can just go. So in the age of, you're able to reach out, hit me up in the comments if you want to talk about this. I know a multitude of coaches. I could always point you in the right direction, depending on what your thing is. Or just find a guy, right? Maybe there's that person in your life that is now where you want to be. And you're like, hey, you know what? This person was able to do it. And like I said, the good news is I've never seen someone fail at this. I've never seen someone actually do the things that are required to be successful and fail. I've never seen one person fail. So people give up because it gets hard, but that's okay. We all take a break from this every now and then, right? And we reevaluate, and then we try again, but no one fails. Next, stop letting perfection be the enemy of your progress, because I know you're doing that. And I know that I've seen myself do that. I did that during the lockdowns. I can remember a time when gyms were closed. Oh my gosh. And because of the fact that the gyms were closed, I noticed like a sort of like a mindset switch that happened in me, where I started telling myself that, oh, well, since I can't work out, then I may as well eat like crap. And I did do that. And then the negative effects compound because I'm not working out, right? So, I'm not getting the benefits of that. I'm eating like crap. So I'm adding insult to injury there. And also, I'm telling myself a really unhelpful story, one that's really not supportive. And the story I should have been telling myself is, dude, you have you have a lot of knowledge around this, and you know a lot of people who don't go to the gym and they're quite fit, and you know that you don't need to go to the gym to be fit. So sometimes we're lying to ourselves, and sometimes we can catch ourselves in these little kind of lies. But there's never going to be a perfect time. You're never going to feel great. Guys, I never, right? I never feel, if I waited for when I was like, yeah, to go to the gym, I would never go, because I never have that feeling. I only ever get that feeling after I've done the thing that I don't want to do, and that's workout. And the reason that I force myself to do the workout is because I know that I'll feel better afterwards. So something to consider, guys, is never going to have the perfect conditions. Do a little something whenever you can. Sometimes even if you can do something like right when you first wake up or right before you go to bed, if that's all you can do, that's something. It's better than nothing, and it's a lot. Do it. Do it for 30 days, and then I'd love to hear in my next video how you're doing on that. Next, one of the reasons why people can lie to themselves and make it easy to lie to ourselves is because we're not tracking. So tracking makes it harder for us to be able to lie to ourselves, because we have that data, that metric, whatever it is. And sometimes we learn really interesting things about ourselves, about our bodies, and about our diet when we weigh things. I was blown away when one of my mentors taught me about how to weigh food, right? And how I could actually see like what a portion size was of a particular food. And I was blown away by how little food we actually need. That was one of the things that I learned, that I'm learning still on my fitness journey, is just like, wow, I don't need as much food as I thought I needed. And if you're the type of person that has a propensity for overeating, like me, that's kind of that's my thing that I have to work on. And so, it's just, I forgot where I was at, tracking your progress. By weighing your food, you can be like, oh my gosh, that's this. And then, we realize that maybe we're eating way too much, way more. Sort of like the saying goes, how your eyeballs could be more than your stomach. And so that definitely happens. And by tracking, we can learn about portion sizes. And you don't have to do it forever. It's just interesting to learn like portion sizes and how much of things in terms of macros. And then finally, about weighing yourself, body weight, right? Like, I'd love to hear from you guys. How much do you step on the scale? Do you do it every single day, or do you do it every now and then, And it's interesting to get that data, because it's just something else you can track. Next, I'm too busy. How many times have you heard that? Or how many times have you heard yourself telling yourself, I'm too busy? Well, I probably assume that maybe you have told yourself this before. I know that I have, and particularly if you live a 9 to 5 lifestyle, what ends up happening is you sometimes will have to, I find myself having to sometimes sacrifice or say, hey, you know what? I might be cutting into like my allotted sleep time to be able to get my workout in. But if there is a period of, let's say, TV time that you have in the day, I have none. I have zero TV time, right? But there's definitely idle time somewhere in there where I'm just like, oh, I'm just being unproductive or something, that I could minimize that time and I could put it towards the thing that I'm trying to do. And like I said, you don't need much more than just like, 3, 5. If you're doing nothing right now, forget about even going to the gym, right? Just do something super easy, some push-ups, some sit-ups, get some light dumbbells and just start doing like 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes maximum, but every single day. Do it every single day. And notice when you're telling yourself, I'm too busy to XYZ, because I understand that, and I understand how it can make it hard to go to the gym. But like I said, you don't need to, especially if you're doing nothing right now, you don't need to go smoke yourself in the gym. You need to do a few minutes consistently every single day. You do have enough time. Stop lying to yourself. Next. You compare too much. So here's the deal about comparison, guys. They say that it's the thief of joy. And it can be very discouraging on your fitness journey to compare yourself to other people. Because if it's a book, right, it's your first chapter of the book, and that person you're comparing yourself to, it's their 20th chapter. They're in a whole entire different place in their journey. And so we just have to be careful of this. I like using comparisons for myself. I can remember looking at the guys on the the men's fitness magazines. You see the cover guy and he's got the abs and it says, what women want. And it's this guy with the beach body. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, so that's the body that I have to be able to attract a mate. And so, I think that for me, there definitely were some healthy aspects of comparison. A healthy aspect that comes up for me is I love to share the fact that there are so many other guys out there that come up to me and they're like, hey, I'm a former fat guy. And I'm just blown away. I'm so happy for them. They're successful on their journey in doing that body transformation, and their lives changed dramatically as a result of that. Because it's just interesting when sometimes, you can block your blessings with food. And I think that's what happens for some of us overweight bros out there. And it's, when you empty that cup, other things come into it. But try to avoid the comparison trap, because so there's something called maintenance, guys. And when we compare ourselves to like super fit people, I know so many super fit people, right? And none of them are dieting. None of them starve themselves. None of them are killing themselves with workouts. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. But sometimes, like I said, when we're on that part of our journey where we're in the beginning, we have to embrace some of that friction, some of that discomfort. We cannot be in a maintenance sort of mind frame when we're there, because we'll stay there if we do that. That's the idea of maintenance. So most super fit people, they're like that because it's easy for them to be like that because of their mindset and, other things that we explore in this channel. But if you're just getting started, you have to maybe embrace a little bit of discomfort. You have to make some changes. You're not in a maintenance phase. So stop comparing yourself to everyone who's in a maintenance phase. Oh, my friend looks great, and they eat whatever they want. That's true, I'm sorry. And guess what? You can get to a point where you're super happy with all of the body fat that you lost, and now you know how to manipulate the situation in your favor. And but don't compare yourself to that person. You have to do what's right for you. What I'm doing isn't going to work for you versus somebody else. But it is good to just know that although there are so many paths, it's good news that there are so many paths, because it makes it easy for you to find one that's right for you, but don't compare. Next. Guys, you've never committed for 90 days. So I'm not a math guy, but let's say 6 weeks. You can see a pretty dramatic body transformation in that period of time, in my opinion. And I would also be willing to bet that if you're really struggling and you've seen no progress in terms of, like, you know, body fat loss or building muscle, I'd venture a guess that you are experiencing that friction that we talked about earlier. You're experiencing that resistance and you're stopping too soon. So remember how we talked about being consistent. Maybe doing something that you can actually do. Choose something that you can actually do every single day, no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter if you're sick, no matter if something hurts, no matter what. It doesn't matter. It has to be like brushing your teeth, where you don't feel right if you don't do your little exercise thing, whatever it is. But guys, even if you tell yourself that you're starving yourself, right? Because you're not starving, or, you know, maybe you are. If we want to go down a rabbit hole and talk about some of the things that you're probably starving yourself, but it's not food. It's not food. It's other things. But you're not starving when it comes to lack of food. You probably have the opposite problem. You have access to too much food. So it's a blessing to have that problem, but it is a problem. So even if you have to tell yourself that you're starving, and you're not starving, but if you have to tell yourself that, that's fine. Tell yourself that for, and guys, listen to me, 3 days. Give me 3 days. If you can do it for 3 days, don't give up before that. Day 1 is going to be really hard. Guess what? Day 2 is going to be worse because you're going to be wore down and it's still going to be hard. Day 3, what do you think, guys? It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. But guess what? Now it's starting to become a habit. When you can successfully go to bed after having done it on day 3, you wake up day 4 and guess what? A little bit of that resistance, a little bit of that friction, it starts to go away. It gets easier. So something that happens, again, around starving ourselves. Have you ever told yourself that? Oh, I'm starving. Do your little cut back on the food thing, do your little eat a little bit less, your little diet thing, right? And now you're telling yourself, I'm starving. I'm starving. Well, maybe learn to sit with that a little bit. Embrace that feeling as something that's not bad, but it's actually your body doing its thing. It's your body doing its thing for you, in support of you. Embrace that feeling. And there's something about that 3-day point, guys, where it starts to get a little bit easier. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and if you've ever experienced this yourself. But stop giving up so soon. You're giving up too early and you're almost there. Give me 3 days. Do it for 3 days, guys, and it gets so much easier. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.